On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
My perspective is hindsight is 2020, right? So I think that if you're a man who's on his purpose, then the person you're supposed to be with will ultimately present themselves. Again, it's the law of attraction, right? When you on your purpose and that's what you're focused on, then the person that's supposed to cross your path at the time that they're supposed to cross your path, that'll happen.
Welcome to our people. Let's talk. Make sure you guys take a moment to hit the like button. Also, subscribe. Moving on to our third topic: dating with the intent to marry. Dating with the intent to marry. Before we get started, I know there's been a lot of conversation about how women and of other races, when they go to college, they're looking for a husband. You should be looking for a husband at an early age, even if you're not in college, while you're dating. I just want to ask you guys first, how important is the dating experience? How important is the dating experience? I'm start with you, Courtney.
As far as dating multiple people before you get married?
Yeah, I mean just the experience itself, because some people don't date with the intent to marry. You know, they think they haven't found themselves, or maybe they don't know what they like, so they're not dating with the intent to marry at an early age. So that leads me to think that the experience must be important. So how important is the dating experience? Is it important to have experience when it comes to dating, or should you just automatically be looking dating with the intent to marry?
Yeah, no, I think with women, you should be dating with the intent to marry. I don't think women, especially in our 20s, we're not taught that. We're taught to date and to travel and do all this career stuff. But for women, dating opens yourself up to being emotionally hurt, high body counts, just a whole lot of stuff that you can really, stay away from, and saving yourself for your husband and your emotional, your heart, and all that with the intent to date and marry. So with women specifically in college, I totally believe that we need to teach them, go to school, get your education, and also make sure you're making yourself a wife. Because what happens is that we're doing all this in 20 in career, and we got relationships, and now we're all messed up and we have men problems because we've been hurting ourselves, and then we get 30 and then we get bitter. A lot of that can be changed if we just focus on what we're supposed to be focused on. So dating for the intent to marry, definitely for women. Men is different. I think men need to date and get coming to America, sow your world oats. So I think men should date and have some, relationships, but that not be the focus. The focus is his purpose, of course. But yeah, it's totally different. Men get better with time, like fine wine.
Yeah, you kind of answered my second question. So as I go around, I want you guys to answer that, which is it the same for men and women? But I'm going to come to you, Danielle. How important is the dating experience? Let me ask this first. How old were you when you got married?
I was 27.
Okay, 27. Okay. So how important is the dating experience?
I think that I agree with Courtney that it should be different for men and women. And I think that women should have some dating experience. They should be very proactive, but they should have the intent to make it short as possible. So I apologize if you can hear my son crying. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Go ahead.
His dad's with it. But yeah, I think women shouldn't be out here trying to have like hot girl summer every, year on year on year. I think women should, focus with intention. And the way I see it is, I think women in that same period of time for college should be trying to get that MRS degree, get that dual degree, because honestly, that's the best time you have. And a lot of times women aren't told this. They're not told how precious those years are in terms of solidifying your ideal man. And they focus on themselves. And then once it's too late, they're looking back and bitter because no one told them that. So I think that women have to focus, especially during those college years, on that primarily. That, you know, do what you got to do so you don't become poor. But I think that's really where you need to stay, and the rest of your effort should be finding a husband.
Okay. Okay. Dating with the intent to marry. How important is the date? Oh, before I go to you, Danielle, did you answer already? Is it the same for men and women?
Oh yeah, I think it's
Okay.
different for men. I think men
Different
need
men.
to have
Okay.
a lot of experience.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Dating with the intent to marry. How important is the dating experience?
I think that it is, like Danielle said, it should be like short. You don't want to spend all of your 20s in like 2 really long relationships, and now you mad and you're trying to figure out what's going on when you're 35 or whatever the case may be. Like, I mean, I don't see an issue with dating because you know, you're getting to know yourself when you're young. Society is different than it used to be. So but I don't think that you should make that your I mean, I do think that you should keep that in the forefront of your mind if you're trying to get married, because those years for a woman, like if you want to have kids and a family, like there is a cutoff date. So you don't want to waste all your time in your 20s and your early 30s just kind of like dating a bunch of people if you want to be married. Now, if you just don't care, but if you want to be married, you absolutely need to think about that, and get yourself in the position to be a healthy wife. Like, some people think that it's their time to be married, but it's not, because they haven't even understood themselves and they haven't gotten their own things together. So it's like these two things have to happen at the same time. You're growing as a person, you're learning yourself, but you also need to be very proactive with your decisions as it relates to dating, so that you don't end up jaded, so that you don't end up mad and trying to get through these issues when you're older and having like a really hard time and going through all these unhealthy relationships. Like it's a lot. So I think that, you know, when you're younger, you should be as proactive as possible. But I think that a lot of people need someone to tell them that. I think that if you do it trial and error, it doesn't always end up that way. I think it's just important to let people know the path to get on.
Okay.
When they're younger.
Is it the same for men and women?
No, it's not the same for men and women, because I mean, just biologically, there's the expiration date of the like reproduction situation is just not the same. So it's just inherently not the same for men and women. But I do absolutely think that men should be focused on what they're trying to do with their lives at a younger age, because there's always going to be women. Like, women are going to be there. So you could lock a woman down early or late, whatever. As a man, it's always going to be, that opportunity will be there. My grandpa, rest in peace, on my dad's side, had a kid when he was like 100. Like, it's like,
What?
you can always, he was like, I have yeah,
100?
it's a whole thing. No, he wasn't 100, but like,
Oh,
he was like 80 something. He was like 80 something. So
Shit.
like, but a woman's not having a kid like that at 80
Natural?
something, you know? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So with one of his wives, but that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, it's not the same for men and women. Biologically, it's not the same, but men should focus on their, you know, whatever they're trying to do with their lives, because you won't lose a woman. You lose a woman when you are chasing money, but
Okay.
you'll definitely lose the money when you're chasing women. So
Anton,
you got to set yourself up.
Anton, dating with the intent to marry. How important is the dating experience?
I'm skewed because I just don't believe that men should be dating in general. I think that the way that you truly find the person that aligns with you is just to be in the presence of people that's going in the direction that you're supposed to be going in. So I don't even align with the whole idea of whether or not you should date if you're poor or you're rich or anything like that. I just think that you're always supposed to be on your purpose. And then the person that you often at times, because most of the time, most of the marriages that I see that's absolutely awesome and they last a long time is people that aligns with people that they wind up knowing for a long time, or they wind up being best friends for a long time, or they knew them since this amount of time, or whatever, or I always liked them. So, if you're talking about intent to marry, if you're just trying to go out and just have a good time and be, yeah, dating is just dating. Like people date all the time and they put that name, they put that framework on it in order for them to be able to entertain being able to be with multiple people all at the same time and or whatever, so on and so forth. But when you talk about being intentional, then I don't really believe in the concept of dating as people or as we define it today or how people are operating as far as what it is that they're looking for. I don't think that people date and then they have an intent. I think that people often at times associate themselves with the right company, and then it's easy to figure out exactly who it is that's supposed to be in your life for the rest of your life. So it's different for me.
Rilla, dating with the intent to marry. How important is a dating experience?
Yeah, it's funny because as everybody was giving their answers, I was kind of like, word. And then Anton started speaking. I was like, dang, I actually agree 1000% with him, but for different reasons. Obviously, my perspective is hindsight is 2020, right? So I think that if you're a man who's on his purpose, then the person you're supposed to be with will ultimately present themselves. Again, it's the law of attraction, right? When you on your purpose and that's what you're focused on, then the person that's supposed to cross your path at the time that they're supposed to cross your path, that'll happen. I don't think it takes all of this dating and men having multiple dates and all this, all these multiple relationships. I think a man needs to focus on character, integrity, developing himself. I think he needs to be well versed, maybe well traveled, knowledgeable. I don't think you necessarily have to get all of that from dating, because if I had, and I know I think a lot of brothers would say this, if we had it to do over again, where we are right now would look a lot different. I'm saying for those of us who did not stay focused on our purpose when we were young, those of us who got out here and were shooting up the club, if we had stayed focused and stayed on our shooting up the club is not what you think it is, Kay. I'm not talking about shooting up the club like literally shooting up the club.
I know what shooting up the club is.
Oh, really?
It's still, I know what it means.
I just saw your face. I was like, why is she making that face? I'm not talking about literally airing the club out.
It still deserves the same thing. Like, it's not cool to do that either, but okay.
Right. But what I'm saying is there are brothers that have done that. You know what I'm saying? And so if we were focused early on, you know what I mean, in terms of, okay, I'm with this woman and my intention is to marry her, then we move different. You move different. If you focused on your purpose, you're moving completely different. And so I agree with Anton, but it's just from a hindsight is 2020 perspective. And actually, some of the some of the stories that I hear when you look at couples that have been together since they were young, like high school sweethearts, or they found each other really, really young and have these really strong relationships. They don't have much dating experience at all, and they learned and grew together. And dating has nothing to do with that, because actually when you're dating, it's more about you adjusting and finding out more about the other person than it is finding out about yourself. Most people say like, oh, when you're dating, you're learning what you like and what you don't like. But if you're with the person that you're supposed to be with from the jump, you're actually grooming and growing together as a unit. And optimally, that's what you would want.
I 100% agree. And as a matter of fact, me getting married at 22, the only thing that I would do different if I had to do it all over again is I probably would have got married at 18 instead of 22. I probably would have got married right out of high school. If I know what I know now, I would have got married earlier.
Oh,
I have a question
That's real-
for
that's real talk.
Anton. I have a question for Anton and Chicago Rilla, because I watch some of the manosphere sometimes, and a lot of times they say, a lot of guys in the manosphere say the opposite of what you guys are saying. and they say something to the effect of game is necessary throughout a relationship, and you have to fine tune your game in order to keep it up in a long-term relationship. So how would a man who is getting into a long-term relationship really, really young, fine tuning their game?
I would say that that is off. That is absolutely off. Let me tell you what the difference is, because they talking about game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need game to be successful as a single person. You just need to be real and honest and confident. Ain't got nothing to do with game. Game game in a way that the manosphere defines it is somewhat more or less, in a nutshell, just being able to communicate more effectively than somebody else in order to be able. It's almost like sales, right? We
Mhm.
sell ourselves every single day. You sell your daughter on why it is that she need to be a good person and go to school. I'm selling my wife on why it is that she need to align. Like, it's all sales, but realistically, you only got to be, you have to be honest and transparent. Me, I'm very proactive, so I don't believe in secrets. I believe in being real. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to game, in most instances, I don't even have to say nothing. It's my actions that more or less translate into how things go and the desirability that she has and all of this other type of stuff. The game, if we really want to define it, is how you move. It don't have nothing to do with what you say and how it is that you saying it and all of this extra stuff. That's extra. That's all extra. You ain't got to do none of that. That's silly. And realistically, you need to be on top of your game. You need, as far as like on your purpose, doing what you need to do as far as to continue to level up, focus on being the best version of you, and she'll follow you. She'll follow you 1000%. That's
Yeah.
silly.
Anton, I definitely agree with what you're saying, because honestly, like, that honesty is the game. Like, men who are on top of that are a lot more successful in my experience and in my observation than the ones that be out here lying and doing whatever. The men who are just like, you know what, you're not the only one or whatever, they are much more successful. So a man that is extremely confident with himself and doesn't feel that fear that he's going to lose a woman, which that's what it is. If you're lying, you're scared of some consequence. Women can smell that a mile away. So if you are a man lying, that's not a turn on inherently for a woman. The truth, even if it's not the truth you want to hear, is the game. So, I mean, it's not a game, but you know what I mean. That will get you the results more so than lying and doing whatever else.
Think about it. Think about it though.
I agree.
Like, even y'all, right, as women, at any point in your life, were you more likely to be in, like, you already know, as a man, it's really your job not to mess it up. She already know if she want to sleep with you before you ever even really approach her. It's your job not to mess it up. So the more you talk, the more likely it is you're gonna put yourself in a position that you don't want to be in long term. So when you talk about game, your communication is with your body language. You communicate in a lot of different ways, and people think it's about your mouthpiece. It ain't about your mouthpiece. It's about the way you move. It's your confidence. You can go up to a woman and don't have any kind of pickup lines or nothing like that. Excuse me. It's a very basic thing. Confidence, be clear, be forthcoming, and then you move. Like, it ain't that difficult. And so
And
most guys just lack confidence. They
Right.
lack they're so fearful of everything. Oh, she
Yep.
gonna reject me.
Right.
They don't even approach women no more. And so,
Yep.
Mhm.
I don't move like that. I've never had to have game. I just did what I wanted to do, understanding and expecting the result to go exactly how I felt like it was gonna go. And it went better than that. So no, you ain't gotta have no game. You just gotta do what
Yeah.
you do.
I always
But
suspected that game. Sorry, that game was a placeholder for confidence. So that speaks to that.
Mhm.
But I think what you also see in some sectors of the manosphere, not all of it, and I'm not sure who you're watching or I'm paying attention to, but some of that is from brothers projecting, and some of it is brothers that are really like broken and hurt, right? So we talk about this dichotomy between, or this enmity between the modern man and the modern female and so on and so forth, right? And so most guys are moving like, man, I gotta, these women are out here gaming, they out here juicing dudes, so I gotta game on her before she games on me. There's a whole
Right.
MGTOW movement, there's a whole save yourself, black man movement. There's all types of movements where men are like divesting from women and more or less just use them as playthings, right? So some of that you just got to parse through it. I don't subscribe to game or manipulation, but that's not to say that I've never done it. When I was younger, and you do what you do, but hindsight is 2020. So that's most of the perspective I always come from. You just got to parse through that manosphere. Chew the meat, spit the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that, and you know what? Like when people lie, they attract things they don't want. Like when you're not yourself, when you're telling women lies, or if you're a woman telling men lies, you're not going to have a good situation because you're going to be stuck in this fake thing and you're going to wonder, why did you attract this person? Well, because you lied to get them. So it's just doing yourself a disservice when you are doing this game or whatever, because then you end up complaining and angry or whatever else because you chose to put this false whatever face forward or whatever to attract something that you wouldn't usually attract if you were just being yourself, open, honest, confident. So it's just I mean, I don't know, it's not what's up in my opinion.